was sort of the sales pitch they made, Andrew and others made to you? Did they give you sort of an idea of what your role was going to be here in terms of left guard, right guard, any of that sort of thing?
I mean, I think the pitch for me was clear. I mean, looking at the team from outside in, for me, it looked like a team on the rise. Like, there's a lot of pieces. The front office is very, hell-bent on improving the offensive line, improving the team as a whole. And, my role was just to come in, play whatever position is needed, whether it is left or right, to help the team in any way necessary. But, the draw was clear for me. I could see the potential and the talent on this team.
Just kind of follow up then. Maybe did a left tackle, right tackle, and the differences in those positions. Is there much difference going left guard to right guard?
I think for someone who's played one spot more predominantly than the other, it can be a little bit of a switch, just having to flip everything, like in terms of how you view scheme, your perspective as the player on the field. But, a lot of us train movement going both directions. So I think for, a lot of offensive linemen, that's something that, is a reality for us that, you might have to play left or right. So we train both positions to, be able to switch more fluidly.
Thanks.
All right, next one, Mary Kay.
Yes, Zion, just wondering, do you know Joel Bitonio at all? And there is some thought that maybe he might come back to the team. And I don't know, if that's going to happen or not going to happen. But if you had a chance to play with him and work with him, what do you think that would be like for you?
No, personally, I don't know Joel Bitonio personally, but, I think every young guard knows who Joel Bitonio is. He's played at an extremely high level year after year after year. He's the, kind of pinnacle and the level that a lot of young guards aspire to play to. So, to have the opportunity to be around somebody like that, to learn from them, to, play next to them, I think anybody would love that opportunity.
And would you, love a chance to reach out to him and say, hey, come on, let's do this? Would you take that chance if you had it?
I think, not knowing him personally, I don't really know like where he's at mentally in his career. Whether he's thinking about coming back, retiring. I don't know him, but like I said, as a young guard, I would love the opportunity to play with somebody who's put together a body of work for their career like he has.
Thank you.
All right, next one to Scott.
Hey, Zion, you mentioned the Browns being hell-bent on fixing the offensive line. So just what have you thought about the other moves, starting with Titus and then obviously Elton as well?
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys I've watched a lot on crossover. As offensive linemen, we love to watch our peers, see things that they do well, see things that we can steal for our own game. And, both of those guys are really, really good players. Titus, when he was with Houston, and Elton when he was in Green Bay. Those guys, are just consistent, and I'm really excited to play next to them, to really grow with them and see what we can become as a unit, because I think we all have a lot of unique strengths that we can add to this offensive line unit, and things that we can enhance in each other as well.
And then following up on what Mary Kay asked about Joel, would it be daunting at all if he does retire, doesn't come back, to move into left guard and fill a spot that he's, filled, gone to 7 Pro Bowls at that spot for this team?
I mean, like I said before, Joe Bitonio, he played at an extremely high level for a lot of years, but, I have a lot of, faith in myself, in my own abilities to help this team win, to do what's necessary and required for the team. So, it's an honor to be able to play that position, after somebody like that. And, it'll be my job to hold that standard in my time as well.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll go to Ashley.
Hey, Zion, just to go back to something you said up top and the pitch they made to you and the investment they're making on the line. Like, I think from the outside looking in, remaking an O-line like this seems daunting, but it sounds like for you, it was a draw to come in and be a part of building this up. Can you just explain that a little bit more and why it would be a draw for a player?
I mean, I think looking from the outside in, this team has a lot of, good pieces, a lot of talented players. I just remember, during the season I was watching one of the games, I can't remember, that the Browns was playing. And, I saw this young running back that just looked electric. And I thought, man, like, if I had the opportunity to block for somebody like that, the sky's the limit. So, and having the opportunity to come here and just seeing, the pieces that we have, and, the other veterans that have come in on the offensive line as well, I just feel, really good about our room. And I think that, we have the potential to be something very special.
And then I just want to ask how exciting it is to be able to get the chance to work with Coach Warhop, someone who's, so respected, it seems like, wherever he's worked.
Yeah, I mean, that was a huge draw for me as well. I think he's one of those offensive line coaches that, draws guys in just with his level of coaching. Like, he is one of the elite offensive line coaches, and I think that's pretty well known. So to, have the opportunity to come in and, have him coach me, to learn things from him, but also, to, bounce off of him as well, I think is going to be great for me and great for our room as a whole.
All right, next we'll go to Tony.
Hi, Zion. Two questions. First, what were the circumstances of you moving from left tackle to right tackle your second season and staying there for the next 3 years? Right guard, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Left guard to right guard.
Yeah, so my rookie year, I played right guard. That's what the team required of me at that point. We had a veteran in Matt Filer who was playing at a high level, and my attitude has always been to help the team in any way necessary, whatever they require of me. And the next season, Matt Filer going to Tampa Bay, I believe, and they needed someone to play left guard. So I slid in there, filled in there. But my approach has always been whatever, best elevates the team, whether that's me playing left, right, I'm willing to do it all.
And my other question is, you were drafted by Tom Telesco, who was the GM of the Chargers at the time. He's had kind of an unofficial role here this year. Was he involved in any of your transaction here?
I have not talking to him. I have not spoken to him, officially one-on-one or anything. But I have a lot of respect for Tom. He was a great GM in the time that I had him in LA, and we'll always have great respect for him.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll go to Joe.
Hey, Zion, there were plenty of injuries last year on the Chargers offensive line with Rashawn and Joe and everything. Just constant changes in the line that you guys had to deal with. What did that kind of teach you about having to adjust and adapt as the season goes along?
I think one of the key things for me personally was just, focusing on my role, on my job, helping the team in any way possible, whether that meant, honing my own craft, getting my own work before practice, or, pulling another guy aside, whether, it was a tackle that's filling in or, a center that's filling in, to get extra work with that guy to build that, that synergy, that camaraderie so that we can play together on Sunday. I think it just kind of taught me the ability to adapt to whatever situation, whether it's 2 days before the game, we find out, somebody different is starting, or whether we know, it's Joe or Rashawn who's going to be starting, continuously, someone I have a rapport with. Just being able to adjust and look at the circumstances and, figure out how to move forward.
And then I know last year during OTAs and maybe some during training camp, they looked at you at center. Just did that build up your versatility, or how did that experience go?
I think for me, having that opportunity of, learning center, playing that position some, it definitely did build up my versatility, but it really honed my process as a player. When you have to flip positions, when you have to go center, guard, there's guys out there that have to go tackle, guard. You have to have a process for, how you prepare yourself during the week, prepare yourself before the snap, just to get in that mode to play that position. So it really honed down my routine for the week and honed down my process as a player.
Okay, thanks.
All right, next we'll go to Cam.
Zion, you kind of just talked about the synergy and the adjustments you had to make with an offensive line that dealt with injuries, but how much does that now relate, and how much of that can you bring here with an offensive line that's going to be just so many new pieces and parts in general, not just a guy stepping in here, just an entirely revamped line? How much can that translate as you enter your time here with the Browns?
I mean, I think the key thing is we got to work together. We got to, put in the time on the field, in the weight room, whatever's required to, grow that synergy playing together, knowing how we set, knowing, how we fit different double teams. And I think that just takes dedication, and that takes, the effort put forward to work at it. And I think, the guys that we have, in my brief time talking, to Elton, I think that we're all alike in that way, that, we want to be great. We want to, have that synergy as an offensive line. So we're going to do anything necessary to achieve that.
And then obviously this team is going to be going through a lot of decision making when it comes to the quarterback. As a guy that's there to protect him, you might be faced with different opportunities, different guys, and it might be kind of fluid, especially throughout the summer. So what's your mindset going into this as the team approaches that, having to maybe be a little bit more versatile in how you block and how you scheme things for whoever may be there under center?
Our job is, whoever's under center, to give them the best opportunity, the best chance to be successful at what they do. Whether that means protection, whether that means, making the run game efficient, to provide some cushion for the quarterback. I think, our mindset is, we're going to do whatever we can to, help put the quarterback in a position where he can be successful.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll go to Jeff.
Hey, Zion, two questions. Were you disappointed the Chargers declined that fifth-year option on you?
Was I disappointed? No, I wouldn't. I know there's a lot of things that, go on, with the business side of things, but my mind has always been squarely on football, how I can affect the team, how I can help the team, and playing my game and continuously getting better as a player. So, I try to control the controllables, the things I can control on the field, what I put in my body, how I work out, and the things that I don't necessarily have control over, I don't really worry too much about those things.
And then I did not study you, but there were reports out of Los Angeles that you struggled in pass blocking. You probably have heard those reports. Could you just respond to that?
I think evident watching the tape, I think, I have a lot of strengths in pass protection if, watching the tape. I think it's something that I've continuously worked on year in and year out in my career. I think that's something I've definitely improved on throughout my career. That's pretty much all I got for that.
All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll do a few more. We'll go to Dan.
Hey, Zion, I wanted to follow up on, you were talking about watching the Browns and seeing that running back. I'm assuming it was Quinshon Judkins. Do you remember what it was you liked so much about watching him?
I remember watching, I think it was a counter play that they ran to the left, and I think like a tight end got a holding call or something, but the run split for like a 60-yard touchdown, and it got called back. But I watched that run, and I was like, wow, that was an insane run by that running back. And, I think tons of offensive linemen around the league, when you see a running back that can make, things appear almost out of nothing, it's very impressive to watch.
And then, you have not missed many games in your career.
Mm-hmm.
Why has it been so important for you to be on the field, and how much pride do you take in the fact that you're kind of always there to answer the bell?
Yeah, I mean, I take a lot of pride in it because, you can't help the team, from off the field. I mean, sure you can through practice and whatnot, but I think the way that I add to the team, the way that I, fill my role and do my job is being out there consistently, doing my job, giving everything I can, whether it's my body or whatever, to the team. So I take a lot of pride in that.
Thank you.
All right, last two. First one from Mary Kay again.
Hi, Zion. Just wondering, have you had an opportunity to meet or talk to either SHEDEUR Sanders or Deshaun Watson since you got this opportunity? And if not either of those guys, have you maybe heard from anyone else and maybe another veteran on the team kind of welcoming you here so far?
I haven't had an opportunity to really talk to anybody yet. It's been really, really fast. It's been like a whirlwind. But those are, some of the guys that I look forward to meeting, to talking to, when I have the opportunity to, and especially when we get working here in a few weeks in OTAs.
What do you think so far of SHEDEUR and Deshaun and the two guys that are going to be kind of battling it out here for the starting quarterback job?
I think both of those guys are very impressive guys, and, I think it's, like I said earlier, our job as an offensive line to let them display that. And, that's what we're going to do.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Zion. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, thanks.